And there she is. Hey, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
This is the Shining Light video podcast show where I shine a light on my guest and the positivity they're spreading in their communities. My guest today is the customer service officer for Sawyer Savings Bank. She ensures that every customer has the best experience, and we're going to dive into that and how she provides that experience for her customers, for every branch in the Hudson Valley, and their rich history. They're celebrating their 149th year. We're also going to touch upon some of the things that are happening in the banking industry. But I'd like to introduce my guest, Jen Guthial-Denier. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me and for providing such positivity in a pretty uncertain, unprecedented, crazy time for so many people. I think that it's wonderful, and it's a great opportunity for us to share a little bit about the story of Sawyer Savings Bank and just how proud we are to be part of this community for 149 years, and how we'd like to be able to serve. We believe that service is what sets us apart. We are a smaller institution. We have 3 branch locations and a lending service building. But because of that size, we're really able to dedicate ourselves to serving our customers. And, just recently we've had such an influx of the Paycheck Protection Program loans, and it was really all hands on deck since everything has happened with COVID-19, working with all of our different departments. Everyone is doing an amazing job to make sure that our service doesn't lack just because people may be working from home or we're splitting our teams each week. We understand that banking is an essential function for people to be able to have access to their money. So we are prepared. We prepare for things like this. We have plans. We've implemented that plan several weeks ago. And our team, it's just been amazing to see everybody come together. Customers that I reach out to that we've worked with are amazed that, our president, Doug Sturgis, will pick up the phone and give them a call if they have any questions or if they need to reach out to any one of our senior officers. We're always very accessible.
Yeah, on that payment protection program, I remember you telling me that you guys, there was a very large number that you guys were a part of in that, something couple $1 million. Could you just expand on that, how much you guys worked with that program and were able to provide?
Sure, absolutely. We were learning on the fly, just like every other bank and institution. It was implemented rather quickly by the SBA through the CARES Act. And we just knew it was something that we had to be able to provide for our customers. So many small businesses are hurting right now. So we were able to process about $3.3 million worth of those loans in round 1, looking very good that we're probably going to have round 2 coming soon within the next day or so, maybe into next week, early next week, we're hoping. And we were, the bigger thing that I think that helped really for me to connect it was that we were able to save over 400 local jobs. So, community banks, we live and work on Main Street. We shake those hands of those business customers. We go to those restaurants. We go to those stores. They are the heart and soul of our institution along with our team, but they're our friends and they're our neighbors. So it's really important that we know that we're helping them.
Yeah, that does go a very long way, especially with these banks, these businesses having to shut down because of COVID, and their employees just pretty much having to depend on the employer maybe doing a GoFundMe page, which I know a lot of employers are doing. And by being able to provide these PPP programs, these payroll protection programs, and your bank being able to provide $3.3 million in round 1, and of course round 2 is tremendous. I see we have a couple people joining, so I just want to reintroduce you. This is the Shining Light video podcast show where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in their communities. I'm here with Jen Guthial-Denier, and she is the customer service officer for Sawyer Savings Bank. I would like to just learn more about that position because, from my understanding, is that is a newly created position in the bank, and understand what the position entails and why they created it.
It is a newly created position. So I spent 10 years as the branch manager in our Saugerties office, and I have over 27 years of customer service experience working. I started washing towels at a day spa many years ago in Saugerties, and I've just always really been an advocate for our customers, and I always wanted to connect with the experience. In my years being a branch manager, I was a branch manager for 16 years, and I always wanted my team, and we always talked about, it's very important to talk about the experience that somebody's having. Yes, right. In all service industries, you may get somebody that's upset. Most of the time, they're not really upset with you. Something else happened to them that day. And we would share in our weekly meetings what good experience did you have and what bad experience, because we know that the bad experiences are what really people will talk about. And I always looked at it as an opportunity to do better. When we mess up, we have to say we're sorry. We always have to look at it of how do we do better in the next time we have that opportunity. And I get my energy comes from people. I'm a people person, and I'm thrilled to be able to go around to our organization as a whole now, not just one branch, and learn how they're doing it. Obviously, we're in our Highland and our Marlboro communities as well, and we all provide such a wonderful service. And just to make people know about that, because a lot of times that gets lost. There's so many banks throughout the community, and I think that's really what makes us special. Joel?
Yeah, I mean, you and we spoke about this in our previous conversation, which was basically that mistakes are going to happen. It doesn't matter what kind of job you have, what you do, where you work, whatever it is, mistakes are always going to happen. I mean, of course, every business and the ones that really are successful are the ones that could avoid the most amount of mistakes. But the bottom line is that mistakes happen. And the key is to make sure that the customer, you empathize with the customer and that you understand where they're coming from and that you do good by them. And so my understanding is that that's what this position is all about. It's working with the branch managers, the tellers, and then, of course, the public to be able to make sure that everybody's getting the best service possible. I'm here with my guest. This is the Shining Light Video Podcast show where I shine a light on my guest and the positivity they're spreading. My guest is the customer service officer, Jen Guthiel-Denier. I'm always going to have a little moment with that one, Guthiel-Denier. And she's the customer service officer for Sawyer Savings Bank in the Hudson Valley region. She just touched upon 3 of the banks, which are in Saugerties, Marlboro, and in Highland. And we talked about your customer service experience and how you provide a great experience. One way that you guys do that is through the charitable arm at Sawyer Savings. Could you talk about that a little bit? And I know you mentioned also Volunteer Week. Could you expand on some of those points there in the Volunteer Week and the charitable giving arm?
Sure. So that's another part of my role. In addition to ensuring we provide exceptional customer service for our customers and our community. I really like that in your promo for this. It's talk really about the experience of our community as well. It's my job to identify opportunities where we can be of service, whether through volunteer hours, through our team does an amazing job volunteering for various organizations throughout the Hudson Valley, but also to work with our board of trustees. We have a charitable giving committee. So I help manage that budget and to ensure that when there's a need in our community, we are able to react and give donations, give time. And it is National Volunteer Week. So, just highlighting the things that our team does.
I'm so sorry. It seems like the feed just cut out I'm sorry, the feed kind of cut out when you said the things that our team does.
Oh, for the community, through volunteerism. Our branch manager, Liza, in Highland is dedicated. She's always out there in her community. She sets up for the St. Augustine Thanksgiving luncheon every year. We have the Sawyer Motors Car Show in Saugerties where our team comes out and sets up at a booth so we can reach out to the community through the Chamber of Commerce. We've done things where we've run the checkout table for an auction for them. And it's just amazing for us to be able to do those things. And we're happy to do so. And if anyone's ever looking for volunteers, I encourage people to reach out to me. And, we'd be happy to put some, volunteers together to help out.
Yeah, and you're very active in your community. In our conversation, we spoke about that. Where, of course, I'm part of a chamber, and Chamber of Commerces I think are tremendous in our communities, in our business communities, and of course for people to be able to get out there. And I always encourage people to be a part of them. But you had a little bit of a different take as a mom, as somebody who is in business but also a mom and trying to balance the two. You found something in the middle there, and I'd like you to maybe just shine a light on that, on your PTA experience and how you were able to to use that to really reach out to the community?
Yeah, I think that, networking looks really different. It's so important for any business, not just bankers, but it's looks different for every person. I was proud to serve on the Saugerties Chamber of Commerce board. I was the secretary for a little while. But what I was finding was I wasn't as passionate because I was at work all day and then I was getting a babysitter. So I had some talks with, our senior management team, and, we always encourage our officers to serve on boards and to be active as they can in the community. And I grew up in community service ever since, I was a Girl Scout, and through my church organization as a young teenager through youth group. And I was able to take on a different kind of role, and I got really active in my children's school PTA, and I served for 2 years as the PTA president. And you just see how important the enrichment activities through the schools are. I got to be very hands-on with the final 2 years of my daughter's elementary school education, and I was able to network, but differently. It was a different type of networking, but networking still the same, where I was making contacts and telling people who I was and what I did, and connecting Sawyer Savings to the community service that we do. We also provide a school banking program through all of the elementary schools in the Saugerties area, and we always are looking to expand that throughout our footprint. And it really gave me confidence. I was a young branch manager. I've been a branch manager since I'm in my early mid-20s, and I was always the youngest person. And somehow I didn't always feel confident in myself, but being with people that I had mutual things in common with, children, really gave me confidence and helped me grow as a person. And I feel better set me up to be able to serve my community, especially in this new role that I've been given here at Sawyer Savings.
Yeah, I would think, and this is the Shining Light video podcast show where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading. Jen Guthiel, Denier, and myself were just speaking about networking and how she was able to expand on her networking opportunities for Sawyer Savings in our communities. And I think the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but I think the reason why you were able to connect and felt less maybe anxious in the networking scene when you were in the PTA was because you were connecting as a real person. You were connecting as a mom with these people. You were connecting as just somebody part of the community and not as a salesperson trying to pitch Sawyer Savings. You were connecting on the personal level rather than the business level, and where of course it ends up going there, but you were connecting at personal level. And we spoke about this too, is that, people buy from people. I see there's several people that just joined in here where I saw, and shout out to them. I saw Sheila Gilday Creative joined in, and Sylvia was on as well. And that's something that we've talked about on this podcast, is that people buy from people. And if you can share that experience, with somebody, like you said, like as a mom on the PTA, then, people are going to be more apt to have that conversation with you about their banking needs, right?
Absolutely. Everyone has to bank. We understand that. It's not really exciting. We work with a lot of numbers. I'm sure my high school math teacher thinks it's crazy that I work in a bank, but I do. But yeah, people want to do business with people. And I think when you can humanize that and connect it, people will completely understand who you are. I was in the grocery store. I had a jacket on that said Sawyer Savings, and it was just last week. And of course, grocery shopping has become like an Olympic sport.
Yes.
You gloves, masks, wipe everything down, whatever you're supposed to do just to stay safe in this environment we're in.
Hurdling over people.
The cashier, hoping you can find anything in the pasta aisle. The cashier was so sweet, and she said, "I don't bank with your bank, but can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Of course, absolutely." And she said, "Do you think you know when I'll get my stimulus check?" And she's still working, and that money is so important to people right now. That's why we have to know, we don't really know when the money comes. We just see it in, the electronic files that come through, and we're happy to speak to anybody. And we encourage anyone, whether you bank with us or not, in this time, if you have questions about your banking, really at any point, make that connection, call them. They're here to help. We're here to help. I'm always happy to answer any kind of questions for anyone. Like I said, I love people. I get my energy from them, and I'm happy to help guide them, with their financial questions that they have.
Yeah, and because you're such a small bank, I would like to at least highlight some of the services that your bank offers, because I don't want people to just think that you're just a savings bank and a checking account bank. You do a lot more than that. In fact, a good friend of ours, acquaintance that put us in touch, Dave Stockrocky, is the business loan manager or representative, right? So could you speak about, just before we move on, can we speak about just some of the services that Sawyer Savings does offer its customer base?
Absolutely. Well, we're a full service financial institution. So I think some people do hear savings and they think we only offer savings products, or they think we only offer personal products. We offer full suite of business banking. Dave Stockrocky is exceptional. He's wonderful at his craft of commercial lending. He had a very successful year last year. He's very well known in the community. He has been a great resource and has introduced me to many amazing people, got me really involved in learning a lot about and getting connected with many people in the New Paltz Chamber. He helped us get connected with Gilday Creative, which has been an amazing partnership for us. They help handle a lot of our marketing and advertising. And he just does a really great job. You know, I call a lot of customers on a day-to-day basis, checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, mostly, you know, recently with COVID, and just calling them and saying, how are you? Is there anything you need from us? And, you know, I hear a lot of, Dave is great. He's amazing. And we have that on the residential side as well. Patty Riazzi, again, decades of experience, an amazing resource for residential lending. We have a first-time homebuyer program that is 100% financing for a first-time homebuyer. Sawyer Savings considers a first-time homebuyer anyone that hasn't owned real estate in 2 years, where most places will consider it 3 years. Wow. And Patty really does a great job walking that first-time homebuyer step by step through the process. We usually will have 2 or 3 a year first-time homebuyer seminars where customers can come for free and learn about the steps. With everything kind of going on, we've had to also reinvent ourselves a little bit, and we're working on going to bring that virtually. So we're working on that right now. So, you know, look for that in the future. We're hoping to be able to get that out within the next couple of weeks. And then we also do, you know, full service. We offer merchant services, and we have all this. We're small, but we have it all. Mobile deposit, mobile banking. We've seen a huge increase in our electronic channels that we have right now. Our lobbies, we are open. Our lobbies are closed just for the safety of our team and the public right now. We are operating through our drive-ups. And in our Highland and Saugerties branch, our Marlboro office is temporarily closed just so we can manage our staffing a little bit better down there. You know, fully will reopen when everything is all safe to do so. And we've seen a lot of people come to us. We've actually been quite busy onboarding new customers, which is thrilling for us. You know, whether their bank doesn't have a drive up, or they're not able to get there, or they just heard about us and, you know, they really want that personalized service.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to give a shout out to Dave, because Dave is also the one who got me on the New Paltz Regional Chamber of Commerce's board. He got me onto the Taste of New Paltz team, and then got me onto the board. So I have to give a shout out to him and thank him. And of course, thank him for this connection, because this is really wonderful to be working with such a local bank and in our community. This is the Shining Light video podcast show, where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in our communities. I'm here with Jen Guthiel Denier. She is the customer service officer for Sawyer Savings. And we're just speaking about some of the services that they offer, how they're a part of the community. Another question I have for you is, you know, Sawyer Savings is celebrating their 149th year in business and serving the community. And when we spoke about that, you touch on some really big things, events that happened during those 149 years: World War II, the Spanish flu, the Great Depression. Could you share with us, do you know of any ways that Sawyer Savings was able to overcome some of those challenges, and are maybe, you know, digging into their history and using some of the things that they used to overcome those challenges today?
Well, a lot of times when people say, oh, you know, I'll say the bank's 149 years old, and they'll say, oh, jokingly, have you worked there all that time? And I like to joke, well, we have great health care. So yes, no, I haven't. But I think the thing that's helped us stay in business all these years through, you know, all different courses of economic ups and downs is do the right thing by our customers, do the right thing by our community. And that has helped us stay in business all those years. And we continue to do the right thing and to be connected and engaged with our community. You know, when we started working with Gilday Creative, we were trying to find some fun facts and some powerful points. And Sheila actually was the one that pointed out to us that Sawyer Savings Bank is actually older than the Statue of Liberty, which really puts it in context because you think of how long that landmark has been in our country, and that it really put it in context of how long we've been in the community. You know, we plan to be a forever bank. We are not planning to go anywhere. Our community is what gives us our passion to serve them. And, you know, we look forward to, you know, another 149 years.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, that it's all about the customer experience. And I mean, you could just see that with the position that was created that you're in, of making sure that every customer has a great experience. I just want to mention here, I see George mentioned, I don't remember you. George, I remember you. I sent you a message. You probably didn't see it. I remember you. Of course I do. You were one of my first clients at LA Fitness in Yonkers. So shout out to George, who's there in the comments. Come up here and visit Sawyer Savings Bank. I'm here with, this is the Shining Light Video Podcast show where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in our communities. I'm here with Jen Guthiel-Denier, and she is the Customer Service Officer at Sawyer Savings Bank. We are just talking about some of the services that they offer, and they are a full spectrum bank. They do everything from checking, savings, loans, everything you could imagine that a bank can offer, and they also offer it virtually where you could deposit your checks virtually. She mentioned her lobbies are still open, so reach out to them. They're also a really great resource in our community. Some of the people that she mentioned, Liza, who I know is the branch manager here locally in Highland, and Dave Stockrocky, who I also know very personally, great resources. Obviously, Jen is a great resource as well. You could always reach out to them and ask them any questions that you might have in terms of your banking needs. I saw we have some real estate agents on here as well. Sylvia's on there. You can reach out to Jen here, and she could put you in touch with the new home buyer department, where you might want to communicate with them to be able to just open up your resources to help new home buyers out there kind of navigate through the waters in terms of that as well. Jen, you are, you were a branch manager, you are the customer service officer, you're a mom, you're part of the PTA, American Legion, you're very active in your community, and now you're quarantined. What do you see as the positive outcome from this quarantine? What do you see as something that we can take away from all of this?
I think it connects really well to what we do, in my professional business, is being home. We're a first-time home buyer. I've been able to enjoy being home with my kids and my family. We're very busy. My kids do a lot of activities, and we were on the run a lot. So I've been really happy to just take a pause, enjoy the slowdown a little bit. I am able to work from home, which is an amazing benefit for me. And just appreciate them, because as I saw, my daughter is in 7th grade, my son is in high school, that those years go so fast. They don't feel like it when you're in the middle of it, because parenting is really hard. But just having the opportunity to slow down and really enjoy it and enjoy my home, and to just take a breath. And I think what's also inspiring that I've really loved watching throughout social media is the reinvention of so many businesses. And we had that conversation. It's not just banking, it's restaurants, it's religious organizations, streaming, mass. I think that this will change us. It certainly has. But don't ever discount the ingenuity of an American entrepreneur, because the way we can reinvent ourselves so many times. And that's another thing, Sawyer Savings, 149 years, we've had to reinvent ourselves throughout our history, and we will continue to do so to adapt to the community. And I think that's a positive thing that we will see. I hope some things get to stay too, through the New Paltz Chamber. They've done a virtual coffee hour that I've really enjoyed being part of on a Friday morning. I hope that stays. I hope to see some of those things that we've had to adapt to stay in business stay around, because I think there's so much value to it.
Yeah, I think what you just said there, the pivot, of course, you mentioned 3 different things there. Of course, spending time with the family, kind of just recharging is definitely a common theme in this podcast that I hear, is just that recharge with everybody. Of course, pivoting, changing your business, looking at your different business model. We see a lot of businesses out there that are just doing such great things for the community. A lot of alcohol, whiskey type of companies that are making hand sanitizer, companies that are fabric companies that are making masks, just huge pivots that we're seeing out there. So yeah, and reinventing kind of what their businesses are. But yeah, the last thing that you talked about was like the virtual coffee that the New Paltz Regional Chamber of Commerce does. And a lot of the virtual that we're doing right now, of course, it's really the only way that we can connect is through virtual. But I agree with you that some of it is very important to stay, because there's a lot of times that we don't connect with certain people, with certain businesses, with certain organizations, because we don't have the time. They're too far away and we can't go there. And of course, we want to be a part of those communities, but we can't. But with these virtual coffees, these virtual meetings, these virtual happy hours, we're able to connect with those communities and able to connect with those people. I had Katie Haynes on from Haynes Marketing and Media not too long ago, and she was just talking about doing a Zoom call with her grandparents down in North Carolina. And, she said, typically I'd see them maybe once or twice a year, and, and now we know how to Zoom together, and now we could do this more often. So this is opening, definitely the positive out of this is opening up the door to much more virtual, to people being more able to do it. I'm helping my parents. They spend over an hour with them trying to get their camera set up, but now they can do it, and now they can see their grandchildren more often than before. Right. So certainly, this is the shining light.
It's funny though.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
It's funny because Zoom and FaceTime, we've had those tools. We've had them for a really long time, but we probably have been just so busy that we haven't really thought about it. I've been a huge fan of Zoom. I met a lot of people, and we used to actually work out together through Zoom, and we would all be spread out across the country. But so it's been around, and it's a great resource, to use it. And it's amazing how it was around, but we didn't really use it. So I do think that it definitely has a space for, the future.
Well, what's happening is that we're being forced to use these tools. And so we have to use them. I mean, I'm an extrovert, obviously why I started a live channel, right? I'm an extrovert. It's very easy for me. I'm part of a lot of organizations. I enjoy the face-to-face, and I would cringe, obviously before this quarantine, I would cringe if somebody said, let's meet via Zoom. I'd be like, no, I'll jump in my car and I'll come meet you. I don't want to meet you on Zoom. But now I'm much more comfortable with it, and I see the benefits to it. And then of course we look at the older population that are maybe removed from the business world that didn't use it at all, and they have to learn how to do it, where before it was easy for them to say, I don't need that, I don't want that, and you just come visit me. And now they have to use it, and now they know how to use it, and they can connect more. So I think it does, it's just a great thing that's coming out of this, of course. So I'm here. This is the Shining Light Video Podcast Show. I'm here with Jen Guthiel-Denier. She is the customer experience officer at Sawyer Savings, where she makes sure that all the customers at Sawyer Savings have a great experience. She also spoke about how she's just a great resource, and everybody that works at Sawyer Savings is a great resource to our community and helpful in a community. Speaking of the community, there's a lot of great things that are happening in our communities. I would love to hear some of the great acts of kindness and generosity that you're seeing and experiencing in the Sawyer Savings community, Jen.
So for us, I think that, we're always pretty committed to our community and, give donation dollars throughout the year, every year. But most recently, we were having a brainstorming session of what we can do and support our community. And Liza came up with a great idea that we have been for the last 4 weeks. The first week we did lunches for some of our local police departments. The second week we reached out and we sent lunches to our ambulance services, Diaz and Ambulance Corps down in the southern part of Ulster County. Last week was our pharmacists. Our pharmacies are working really hard as well. CVS in Marlborough, the Rite Aid Walgreens in Highland, Woodstock Apothecary in Woodstock, and then Saugerties Pharmacy in Saugerties. And then this week we're going to send to our ERs at Vassar and then at Kingston Health Alliance. So, we realize that those workers are on the front line. We're lucky we get Sunday off. These healthcare workers, they don't. They're going 7 days a week, many long shifts, really at the front line of this all. And, we just appreciate them, and we want to be part of that in any way, to bring a smile to their faces. We've also helped out. There's a local Girl Scout troop here in the Saugerties area that reached out to us. They wanted to, obviously, if you're out and about this time of the year, you see the Girl Scouts are selling their cookies, and they don't have that ability right now. So they were actually trying to buy back their cases of cookies so they could donate them to Kingston Health Alliance, to the frontline workers there. So we supported them and purchased 2 cases of cookies so they can be donated. We're going to work with our partners over at Sawyer Motors. We work with them, year in and year out. They are very generous to the community. They're always very generous to us. We run a food drive every year. They provide us a truck so we can stuff the truck with food that stays locally to the local food pantries. But we're also going to help out. They are donating 5,000 masks to the Saugerties community, and we are making a donation of $1,000 to also support their efforts as well, so they can buy more masks.
That's tremendous. Shout out to them. That's Sawyer Motors, you said?
Sawyer Motors and Sawyer Chevrolet.
Sawyer Motors and Sawyer Chevrolet, shout out to them. And of course to the healthcare workers. My sister is a nurse and she's ended up having to pick up an extra shift. So yeah, we definitely a shout out to our healthcare workers and everybody out there fighting the front line. And that expands further, as you mentioned, than just the front line. Of course, our pharmacists and other people that are getting impacted by all of this, the police departments and everybody outside of healthcare that are being impacted by this and being able to provide for their communities and be able to help their communities. It seems like you guys are doing a lot over at Sawyer Savings. Something you mentioned in there was the Girl Scouts, and I didn't even think about that. I was wondering where my cookies were. You were once a Girl Scout, so did you still have any ties with the Girl Scouts right now as to what they're doing in order to kind of overcome not being able to sell cookies and they're going through their regular Girl Scout activities?
I don't have, one of our team members that works in our finance department, her daughter is a Girl Scout right now. My daughter didn't want to be a Girl Scout, so we missed that. But I enjoyed my time there. When we moved here, that was how we met people. It's how my mom met people, became a troop leader, and we were really active for many years. And this year, we were reached out, a contact who I made through the PTA, and she reached out to us to see and to explain kind of what they were doing. They had about 9 cases left. This is their Girl Scout Troop 60101 out of the Blue Mountain area here in Saugerties, and they are trying to buy their cases that they aren't able to go set up at Dunkin' Donuts or Target or in the mall. You'll see them selling their cookies this time of the year. So they had this great idea to try to buy them back, get community donations, and that way they could then take those cookies and donate them to the frontline workers.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think, you talk about pivot. They're obviously pivoting how they're doing that. I wonder if maybe they could do something where they could do some online sales with their cookies, because we want our Girl Scout cookies. So reach out to me. Let's figure out something that we could get you on and promote your Girl Scout cookie sales. Blue Mountain Troop, we definitely want to get you out here. This is the Shining Light Video Podcast show where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in their communities. I'm here with Jen Guthiel-Denier. She is the Customer Experience Officer over at Sawyer Savings. Sawyer Savings is a bank that does more than just savings and checkings. They do loans, they do financing, they do all sorts of different things. Reach out to Jen. She's a great resource. She's going to be able to help you with all of that. We just talked about we talked about payroll protection programs. We talked about its rich history, 149 years serving our community, some of the really great acts of kindness and generosity that Sawyer Savings is doing, hooking up with the healthcare workers, the Girl Scouts, and all sorts of different organizations. Sawyer Motors, shout out to them and what they're doing. Jen, being so active in the community, I'm sure you are, go to a lot of different businesses and retail shops and restaurants. But I have to ask you, Jen, what is one place that you miss tremendously right now that you can't wait till this quarantine is over to just bust down their doors and walk through?
I think maybe everybody, my hairdresser.
Yes.
Love hair in Kingston, but some of our favorite restaurants, Main Street, the Dutch, Ale House, Inarella's, just all those amazing places that I'm able to go to. I'm learning a lot of different ones. Now with my new role, I'm able to go, into the Highland area, the New Paltz area. There's so many great restaurants there. I think the first thing I want to be able to see is my extended family. 2 of my cousins have had babies in the last few months, and I really haven't been able to see them because of the quarantine. As busy as it is, I miss my kids' sports, so I can't wait to get back to New York Wrestling Academy. My son's a wrestler. He wrestles all year long, and he actually had an injury, so his season was cut short, so he's rehabbed and back ready to go. So we can't wait to get back to that. And just all those different things. My daughter's on a competitive dance team at World of Dance, and their season was cut short due to COVID. So I do think just get back to our regular everyday. But I think I'm going to be choosy though and not get so busy. I'm going to still try to keep a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, I guess just another positive thing that comes out of this is just being able to see the things that are really important to us in terms of our time management and going to different places. Of course, your son's wrestling and your daughter's dance, but then maybe eliminating some of the other things that you're like, you know what, I don't need to be doing that and running myself so thin, and maybe do it on a Zoom conference call, as you mentioned, and some of the positive that comes out of this. And you mentioned your hair salon, so that was your first one. So shout out to them. What was their name?
Love Hair. Hair in Kingston, on Broadway in Kingston.
Love Hair on Broadway in Kingston. You better get your appointment book ready. You're going to have an influx of people coming in. Jen's first on your list. I want to thank you, Jen, for coming on the show today, and just pass the mic back to you one last time and see if there's anything that you would like to share, any websites or handles that you would like to share with everyone on ways that they can contact and reach you.
Our handles for Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are Sawyer Savings Bank. People can reach out to me through any of my personal sites, which is Jen Guthiel Denier, or on Instagram, JG Denier. And they also can reach me. My email address is on our website, so they can find me that way. They also can reach out, if there's opportunities for volunteerism or a need for any kind of charitable support, they can reach me at marketing@sawyersavings.bank.
Very cool. I'm like, I heard you say your name and I go, have I been saying it that way the whole time? Guthiel Denier. Guthiel Denier. I am so sorry. Well,
that's okay.
This was the Shining Light video podcast show where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in their communities. As Jen mentioned, Sawyer Savings does a lot for their communities. This is Volunteer Week. Reach out to Jen. They are always happy to volunteer. Well, of course, right now it's a little difficult to volunteer in terms of the physical, but I'm sure there's virtual ways to be able to volunteer and be able to help out in the community. Jen Guthiel Denier is the experience officer at Sawyer Savings and has shared with us all the benefits of Sawyer Savings and what they do for our community. Jen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I want to thank you, Sawyer Savings, for also giving us this opportunity to be able to do this today. I know that you had to jump through some hoops and make sure that we were able to follow everything properly to be able to make this experience happen. So I want to thank everybody that was involved in this process behind the scenes to be able to get Jen on camera here. And as we said earlier in the show, people buy from people. So this is really wonderful for our community to be able to see a face of Sawyer Savings out here today. So thanks so much, Jen, for being on the show today. And anybody else out there, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any friends, family members, business people, anybody that you would like me to shine a light on, please just reach out to me. I'd be happy to get them on the show. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye, everybody. Bye, Jen.
Thanks so much.